All right, welcome back to Respectfully Inspired Podcast. This is episode 2, How to Live Your Life Like a Movie. This is a solo episode, and I always want to start these podcasts by telling you my why behind the podcast, which is I want to inspire people to invest in their soul wealth. So not building up your money, possessions, or achievements, but investing in relationships and creating memories. What are people going to say about you when they die? Like, for example, I want people to say that I always made others feel important. That is soul wealth. Anyways, moving on, let's get into the topic of this podcast, which is how to live your life like a movie. So, a few months back, I was really into YouTube and I had this video idea where I wanted to get an entire bar to sing a country song with me. But considering I live in California, it's not really a country place, so I flew to Texas and I went to the University of Texas, Austin to meet kids my age and to get an entire bar to sing a country song with me. I had no plan. I had no hotel, no place to stay. I just kind of knew it would work out because I'm like, I don't know. I was in adventure mode. I believed in myself and I ended up meeting this kid, Grayson Brock. Grayson Brock to this day is still one of my best friends. And if I hadn't met him, I would have been homeless. But luckily, he let me stay on his couch for 3 days, and we had a ton of adventures together. So we ended up successfully getting an entire bar to sing a country song with me. I told him about dropping out and flying to Austin, Texas, and made friends and met strangers, and we had a whole bunch of adventure. And at the end of the 3 days that I stayed with him, he turned to me and said, "Auzi, your life is like a movie. You dropped out of college, you flew here, like I want to live like you. I want to live like a movie. How do I live your lifestyle?" And at the time, no one had ever said anything like that to me. So I was very surprised, but I was like, you know what? You're right. My life is like a movie. And I began to think about it, and I developed this answer because I really wanted to give him a good answer. I wanted to help him because he was in college and he wanted to do similar things to me. He wanted to drop out, make YouTube videos, travel the world. And so after some time thinking, I gave him an answer, and it's one of the things I'm most proud of to this day. It's one of my best pieces of advice because I think I have really narrowed down how to live your life like a movie. And there's 3 sort of steps, kind of mentalities that you have to do. So step 1 is realizing that it doesn't matter if you think someone else's life is like a movie. It only matters if you think your own life is like a movie. So let me explain that. I might look up to someone like Drake or Kanye. Let's take Drake, for example. I could make a really good argument as to why Drake's life is like a movie. I could say, Drake travels the world, he hangs out with the hottest girls, he has a private jet, he has a ton of money, he performs in front of sold out shows. Drake's life is like a movie. And that is a good argument. But he might have all those things and still be sad and still be depressed. And we know this to be true because tons of celebrities commit suicide, tons of celebrities admit to being depressed, they're on anxiety pills, they're unhappy and they're unfulfilled, and they still do these movie like things. So therefore, me thinking that Drake's life is like a movie does nothing for him. It doesn't make him happy or fulfilled. So therefore, looking at other people's lives and acknowledging them or aspiring to be them is pointless. You have to just focus on yourself and focus on living your own movie lifestyle. So point 1, it only matters if you consider your own life a movie, and you shouldn't look at other people's life as movie inspiration, which leads us into step 2, which is very similar. Step 2 is acknowledging that things and activities don't make your life like a movie. So going back to Grayson, the kid I met at University of Texas, Austin, he might have looked at my life and said, damn, this kid dropped out of college. He's pursuing his dream of YouTube. He's starting a podcast. He got a whole country bar to sing a song with him. He's traveling the world. He took a stranger skydiving. Damn, his life is like a movie. But Then again, I could have been doing all those things and been wildly unhappy. And it's interesting because he says this about me, but I could use bigger examples, Justin Bieber, Kanye, Drake, and those people they're doing even crazier things than I'm doing. And a lot of those people are unhappy. So clearly, it's not the activities that are making their lives like a movie or making my life like a movie. And I think this is important to acknowledge because usually when you look up to someone or when you aspire to have a similar life to someone, what you're aspiring is their activities. Usually you're aspiring their success, their relationships, their fame. And it's so crucial to have this step too, to acknowledging that it's really not the activities. And that's why in step 1, it doesn't matter to look at other people. It only matters to look at yourself. So let me jump into step 3, which is the real answer. So to recap, step 1, it only matters if your own life is like a movie, not if other people's are. And step 2 is acknowledging that things and activities do not make your life like a movie. So then, what makes your life like a movie? And this is the bread and butter of the answer. This is the real answer. Step 3, what makes your life like a movie is the stories you tell yourself. So let me give you an example. I, like many other kids my age, went to school. I went to college before dropping out. Now, if I were to ask most students, pick any random student and ask them about, what was class like? Tell me what your day was like. They would say maybe something like, oh, I went to class. It was all right. I went to lunch. I went home. And that's how they would describe the day. Now, if you were to pull me out of school in one of the days that I went to school, I would have told you, I went to class, but I knew I wasn't meant to be there. And I can't stop thinking about traveling the world and doing more than school. And I met this girl and she was so cool. And I met this guy and it was exciting. And I would have described that regular day to you like a movie. And as you begin to describe the nominal parts of life, the lesser parts of life as a movie, as you begin to describe each and every little detail of your life like a movie, then the actions will follow the story you tell yourself. And the thing was, I went on to drop out of school. I went on to take a stranger skydiving and travel the world and stay on this kid's couch. But the truth is, I already felt like a movie when I was in school. If you listen to me describe my everyday life, I wasn't attending class. I was attending a place I knew I didn't belong, where I was the hero of my story, where I was making business connections and working out and finding a way to succeed. And I already felt like I was a movie when I was just living the regular life. And now that I'm living this life, I'm already thinking of it like more and more a movie. And the way you tell stories to yourself it's not, how do I put this? It's not actions that make your life a movie. It's thinking of your life a movie that gives you those actions that you want. I would have never done any of the legendary things that I consider have doing if I didn't treat my regular life like a movie. It's the way you talk about your life which makes your life like a movie. The way you talk about your life to yourself, the thoughts inside your head each and every day. It's not actions that lead to movie life thoughts. It's movie life thoughts that lead to action, to living an exciting lifestyle. And I realize that as I explain this, it is kind of confusing. So I hope it makes sense. And I really don't know how to explain it any other way than I just explained it. But yeah, that's it. So to recap, there's 3 steps. Step 1 is realizing that it doesn't matter if you think you Step 1 is realizing that you shouldn't focus on other people's lives and that it only matters if your own life is a movie. Step 2 is realizing that it's not the actions, it's not the things, it's not the achievements that make your life like a movie. Step 3 is understanding that it's the way you speak to yourself. The stories you tell yourself in your head each and every day is what makes your life like a movie. And yeah, that's it. At the end of every podcast, I want to ask my guests, how do they want to be remembered when they die? And the reason I want to do that, sorry, I kind of just jumped into a fast transition to the end. But the reason I want to do that is because the goal is to teach people to invest in their soul wealth. And I think when you think about, when I die, no one's going to say Auzi Films had 1 million monthly podcast listeners. No one's going to say Auzi Films had a highly optimized business plan and was raking in money. No one's going to say Auzi Films accomplished this or that. They're going to say Auzi Films loved the people around him. Auzi Films always made people feel important. Auzi Films went out of his way to nurture our relationship constantly. That's how I want to be remembered. I want to be remembered as someone who made others feel important. And I think it's important for you guys or my guests or anyone to kind of reverse engineer life. Think about how you want to be remembered. And it's almost never going to be in that wealth category of achievements, possession, money. It's almost always going to be in that soul category of how did you treat people? What memories did you make? So that's what I want to leave you guys off with. And if you made it this far, I love you. Thank you. I'll see you Thursday.